Welcome back to the 16th episode of Unstabled. Thanks for coming. Thanks for checking this out. We finally hit our 25 subscription goal. So, thank you so much for doing that. We need to keep pumping those numbers up, man. We can't let Third and Teal, Jacksonville, keep beating the snot out of us. They're over 100. So I'm going to set a goal. I want to double. I want to double it, and I need your help to do it. Let's get it up to 50. Make sure you jam on that like, share it. We can't let Jacksonville outdo us, guys. We got to pump these numbers up. Help us out. We appreciate it. We also just dropped an AFC South show episode, so make sure you go over to the Curtis Podcast Network. Do the same over there. Like, share, sub. You know the drill. Help us out. Uh, Alex, we couldn't get our schedule together. He's a busy dude these days. So hopefully next week we'll be able to work out something where, of course, we're both on it. I know we've been talking to somebody else. Hopefully have a third. So, more the merrier. Get more people on here, get more people talking. And as always, anything on here, you think I'm wrong, you think I'm right, you want to add something, drop it in the comments. We always like discussions, so comment away, man. I'm pretty active on it. So, if it's a good enough question or statement, I'll throw it in the following pod. So interact, man. We like to talk to other fans, so make sure you do that. Got a pretty fun show. Should have quite a bit of content to cover, so it'll be just me and my ADHD brain, just for the next 30, 45, or however long I decide to ramble on. Thanks for coming for the ride. I appreciate it. So the first thing, just to get a couple things out of the way. Hall of Fame games coming up. This should drop on the 20th, so we're like 12 days away from some football. And I know it's a Hall of Fame game. It's like a 90-person roster, so it'll be third, fourth string players. But who cares? It's the NFL. We can finally put NFL back in the forefront, get football back in the forefront, and kind of. I like baseball, I really do, but man, it's a long season, and I'm tired of hearing about the WNBA that and Bronny James. I don't want to hear it anymore. Let's get football back. I'm excited. And with that being said, the Colts training camp, I think they report the 24th and start, whatever on the 25th. So football's here. It's here. It's coming in fast, and I can't wait. I think I'll do that later. Curtis asked us to do I guess, top 25 or 50 all-time Colts. I went 25. I'm kind of lazy. So a little bit later, I'll do the top 25 to 19. I'll probably break it down into 3 episodes. And so this one I'll do, the back 9 or so. And it's my opinion. There's not a whole lot of stat base behind it, maybe a little bit, but anyway. The other thing, there's one thing I really wanted to get into, and I told Curtis I was going to do this. I'm going to go on a Trevor Lawrence rant. I'm just going to do it. I'm really tired of those boys over on Third and Teal and Jacksonville fans in general acting like he's the second coming of Jesus. I, he's good. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, and he's tough. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's done some good things. I haven't seen anything in his game and I said we had an argument that he's not in the top 10. I think for stretches he is. I'll give him definitely top 15. I don't think there's more than half of the starting quarterbacks are better than he is. But he's probably in that spot of like 11 to 13, 14. But I'm going to double down on this. I don't think he's going to win Jacksonville a championship. I don't. I just haven't seen anything like completely spectacular from him, and I keep hearing supporting cast. His first year he had a bad coach, and it's true. But if you look at someone like Andrew Luck, like he was the Colts' next Peyton Manning, he was their next second coming of Jesus, and he was really good. He took a 2-14 team, turned it around. He went 11-5 his first 3 years. And he looked like someone that could take a team to a championship, especially after like that Kansas City where it looked like it was a complete meltdown, and he just rallied it back. And I know he did something similar like that with the Chargers, but the Chargers were also historically like that season did that over and over and over. The Chargers defense was shit. So it's like I can't really give that much to that game. I haven't seen anything where he's getting like take Jacksonville to the promised land. Like I get why they paid him, but I can't. I don't get all the hype behind him either. Like he is a talent, he is good. Like he's not a bad quarterback, but you can add me all you want, you can talk all the shit you want. It's fine. I just I don't see it. I don't see it, and I feel like knowing Isaiah, if he was on like Oakland or not Oakland, I guess the Vegas Raiders or a team like that, they'd be like, "Hey, Trevor Lawrence is shit. You shit." I mean, okay, he's fine, he's good, but they wouldn't have that same kind of respect for him. And I know deep down they'd admit that. Like if he did the same thing, put up the same numbers in for the Patriots or Pittsburgh or whatever, like yeah, he puts up some good numbers, he puts up some good stats, and then they start blaming injuries and they start blaming like Andrew Luck lacerated his kidney and he went out and threw a touchdown the next play. Like it's not really an excuse. Like I won't make excuses for Richardson. Like we saw 12 quarters of him. I can't even really put him in like the top 25 quarterbacks right now. Like ceiling wise, I mean, yeah, he has the potential to be top 10, top five just because of his athleticism, but he hasn't deserved anything like that. And that's kind of where I'm coming from with Lawrence. I can't get on that ship. I can't get on the train. It might have a little bit of bias that he's a division rival, but I just kind of want Jacksonville fans and particularly the crew on Third and Seal just to have kind of an awakening. Like if he wasn't your quarterback, would you be singing such high praise of him? Probably not. So that's just where I stand on Trevor Lawrence. I just wanted to put it to bed. Maybe get a kind of a rallying cry for Colts fans. Let's see. Uh, yeah, these are some good questions. I was going to ask Alex, so I'll just ask him to myself and to you guys if you want to answer them. Who can't the Colts lose in this upcoming season aside from the obvious of Richardson? Like he needs to put together a healthy campaign. That's the bottom line. He's the obvious answer. Aside from him, who can't the Colts? Who is too important to this team to lose? And I've had a lot of time to think about this, and it's still a tough one. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Buckner. I think he's the anchor of that front seven. I think the unquestioned leader of that defense. And I've seen him injured. You know that debacle of a season with Matt Ryan. He was hurt. He really had no business even being on the field. He didn't need to be. He's But he was out there and he was still chasing down running backs 5, 10 yards upfield. He's still playing 100%. Hurt. Didn't need like I said, didn't need to be in the game, but was there. And that's what a leader does. That's the guy that these young guys are going to come looking at. That's the guy that Latu is going to look at. He is the unquestioned leader of that defense, and I expect big things, big things from this defense. Like I think I was going to ask this a little bit later, but I'll just do it now. I think it'll be a major disappointment if this Colts defense, specifically the front seven, if they're not in the top at least 10, even top five in shutting down the run. And I say that because you've got Buckner, you've got Grove, you've got Ibukum, who's a great run stopper. You've got Quiddy Pay, and of course Latu. You've got Zaire Franklin, who's a tackling machine, who probably wins the tackling title in the NFL last year if he doesn't miss that game. They've got such a good front seven. And sacks I think will come. Hopefully, Gus Bradley adjusts his defense based on the talent that he has now at his disposal. But their pressure rate was terrible, and that's the other thing that I really expect to improve for them to again march in that top 10, top five. I expect them to be there in all of those categories. I think it'll be a major disappointment if they're not. So I think Buckner is the guy to lead them to do that. And then there was another question that I had of who. There's a reason I'm going to put emphasis on this. Who should take the next step on the team? Again, other than the answer can't be Richardson. Who should take the next step? And my answer is Quiddy Pay. He was drafted first round. He's an edge, and he has improved every year. But we're talking he's improved up to, I think, what he had 8.5 sacks, something like that last year. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but he hasn't produced to what you would expect a first rounder to produce. And I think he should be the one to take that next step just because of where he's picked. And they picked up the fifth round option for him. So the first, they picked up the fifth round option on him. So I, I would, I think this should be the year where he should take the next step, especially since they brought in someone like Latu. Again, arguably the best defender in the draft. I think he was. Just saying. And the other part of that was, who do you expect to take the next step? And to that, I say Juju Brents. He was kind of hurt last year, missed some time. The time he was on the field, he was really good, but he's a rookie. Wet behind the ears. He got beat a little bit, but I never saw him give up on any plays. I really like him, man. He's fast, he's athletic, and he's physical. He basically single handedly turned. I can't remember who they were facing, but let up the big play, still chased him down, caused the fumble, and it seemed like that team might have been Baltimore. I can't remember, but chased him down, caused the fumble, and that basically turned the entire game around for the Colts. So he's a game changer. The dude's a baller. Like he doesn't, even though he was beat on the play, he didn't give up on it and completely turned it around. I expect him to keep building on that and to kind of turn into that lockdown corner is really what I expect from him. I know there's a really lofty expectations, but I really think he could be one of the next great corners, not just for the Colts, but in the NFL. I think he could be one of the next great ones. I know lofty expectations, but the Colts have not had the best of luck when it comes to corner. And I'm gonna go off the rails on this, but it's been a long time since they've had just a really there was Vontae Davis, he had a good year or two. There was Stephon Gilmore, who had a very good season, but he was only here for a year. Beyond that, man, the list gets thin. Like the Colts historically have not done very well at corner. I think they changed that. I think Juju Brents. I think he's going to change it. I'm going to side with Alex a little bit on this, and I didn't name drop his thing. I'm sorry, Alex over at Chaotically Intolerant. Make sure you go over there. I'm going to do some shameless advertising. Now he works hard. He puts out a lot of great content, but it would have been nice to get one of those corners in the draft. But Flowers was playing really good. I mean, he played for a month, and I think he tore his Achilles. So, but he was playing really good. And am I saying he's a lockdown corner? No, but he was playing well enough. I think he's a great option to play opposite of Juju. If it's not, I think Jalen Jones also played admirably. He was, I think, a sixth rounder. I think the Colts will be okay, especially if they get that pressure rate up. Especially if they do, Latu comes into it. If Quiddy Pay comes into his own, that'll take a lot of pressure off the secondary. So I think the secondary will be okay. I think so. Especially you got Kenny Moore over the top, so over the middle. Sorry, I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be okay. I think that he might have been making too much out of it. Again, Juju Brents missed a bunch of time. Maybe a couple of those games are much different if he plays. So leave it at that. Let's see. Why will the Colts win the AFC South? Last year they were one dump off Gardner Minshew pass from winning the division. Again, Jacksonville, we were 8-3, and injuries happened, and if the injuries didn't happen, we run away with it. Well, you don't know that. I mean, it didn't happen, so you can't really say it. So they were waiting for one of us to lose to get second. So I think this is a division that'll come down to the Colts and Texans. And just because the Texans won, I think just out of respect, you have to have them favored. But as the homer, I'm gonna say Colts, and I say that because I feel like Richardson will be healthy. And when Richardson was on the field against the Texans, they absolutely decimated Houston. They 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 beat the shit out of Baltimore, and that wasn't Richardson, but Steichen is the guy for the job. 100% support. He made mistakes as a first year head coach. It was expected, but just a dump off pass away, man, and it's so frustrating that it was that close. It was a hell of a game. I have a ton of respect for Houston and what they did. I love D'Amico Ryans too. If you go to this AFC South show before, when the Colts were looking for a coach, D'Amico Ryans was my first choice. Steichen was too. I think Steichen, based on the quarterback that they got, was now the better choice over D'Amico Ryans. It was just too good of a fit for Houston. You know what I mean? Like it, but I love the guy. I like what he loved. I hated playing, watching playing against him. He was so good. When he was with the Texans, he was a great coach for the Niners. I loved what their defense did. But I think, man, if it's a big if they can stay healthy, especially Richardson, Buckner, those key pieces, and they get back a healthy. And this is kind of my X factor is Jelani Woods. They get him back. Ogletree's back, who's almost as big and almost as fast. I'm kind of going off on another tangent, but Mo Alley Cox. I've been over that experiment for so long, but they're both bigger and faster than him, and I think better hands. I think Mallory's a better blocker, and I think Ranson's a better pass catcher than Mo. I think that puts Mo Alley Cox at like number 5. So I think Jelani would be the X factor, man. He's a big dude, 6'7". Not a lot of people that can cover that, and he's fast for a 6'7" dude. I think he'll be the X factor. I think he can. He's a guy that can change games. He can be a huge red zone threat, and of course, Jonathan Taylor again missed 4 or 5 games last year. Whether you want to say it was injury or holdout, whatever the reason, they only played like 1 or 2 snaps together, him and Richardson. So that duo should be very dynamic. We didn't get to see any of it. I just think, at least on paper, the Colts are better than the Texans. Texans phenomenal. They did great receiving core. I think their offensive line against the Colts defensive line. I'll take the Colts every day in that one. I'm a little bit wary of the secondary against CJ Stroud in their receivers, but again, if we can get pressure, I don't think we've seen CJ Stroud crumble when they've got pressure. So I'm not saying that Jacksonville won't be there. I think they'll at least win 8, 9 games. Well, it's 17, so they'll probably win 9, maybe 10. I, I think there'll be 3 teams over 500 in this division. I really, really do. And the Texans 5 or 6. We went over this with Curtis a couple episodes, maybe episode or 2 ago. I really think Jacksonville is going to finish third. It'll be a close third, but I think they'll finish third. And there's a very real chance that AFC South could send 3 teams to the division. So I think we've said it over and over. I think the AFC South is the most improved, and thank goodness helps this pod and the AFC South show. So just to help us get those numbers. And I guess it's kind of an obvious question. Why wouldn't they win the AFC South? It's a pretty obvious answer. It's not really an excuse, but can Joe Flacco, if Richardson goes down, take this team and again a very competitive AFC South? Can he take this team and lead them to a division title? I don't know. Again, if someone like Buckner goes down, or the wheels could easily come off of the train. So I think the Colts have done a fine job with depth, especially on the defensive line. So I don't think it'll be. I mean, it'll be a massive loss, but it won't be like, oh my god, earth shattering. You know, everything's going to crumble if Buckner gets hurt. Knock on wood. I don't want it to happen, of course, but it can happen. It's a very real part of the game. So, and and I know they're going to want an explanation for the Titans. They're in transition, new head coach. You don't have the best running back in the league anymore in Henry. He's gone. That was a big part of the game. That was a big relief for Will Levis and his development. I hated that he went to an AFC South or an AFC opponent in Baltimore. That's especially bitter, given the history. It's and he was the best back, and I think that's Tennessee. I think Tennessee might regret that one. I really do. Having a really good back with a young quarterback is very important. Very, very important. So I think there's a lot of questions on their offensive line. I mean, they traded, the Chiefs for, God, why is his name? The corner guy. I mean, the Colts wanted, a lot of Colts fans wanted him. Can't remember his name. I'm not going to look it up. You know who I'm talking about. You know the thing. I think the Titans spent a lot of money in places where I don't know if it's really going to do anything to put him over. I think they have a lot of great receivers, but again, Will Levis, young, under pressure, can he really deliver? He only played 7 games. We don't know, but just because of that inexperience, just because of the transition that's going on with Tennessee, I can't say, oh yeah, they're going to win 11 games and take the division. I can't say that. I mean, they might surprise us, but I think their ceiling is like 6, 7 games. I really do. They'll be competitive. I mean, division opponents always play each other hard, so they'll be competitive, but they might be a team that also gets swept by the division. So it was never the Titans. And I guess that kind of answered that too. I have written down here biggest threat to the Colts. I think I already answered that as the Texans. Just be, again, just because, man, that hopefully Juju Brents comes in and does the meets my expectations, and they kind of neutralize at least one of those very good Texan receivers, and they get pressure on CJ Stroud. But if they don't, if you give him time to sit back, he will pick you apart. I think he only threw like 5 interceptions last year, which is phenomenal for a rookie. And he's also in a really good system. He's got a really good head coach. I think, like I said, it'll be very competitive. Probably come down to the last week or two. But I think the Colts will do it. But I think the Texans are easily the biggest threat. I think I've covered just about anything except he asked us to throw together a top 25 list. So I am going to drop the top, or not the top, but I guess the back 9 of the top 25. And without further ado, I'll give you a little drum roll. And I think we're actually going to do it on all 4 of our pods: Third and Teal, That Real Texas Team podcast, and Titans Takeaways. I almost forgot what the name was. He asked us all to put together a top 25, and then we're going to assemble it and kind of make our own top 100. And it's just AFC South players. It's not the entire NFL or anything like that. And before I even get into this, hold on a second. I saw a list. I can't remember which publication put it out. They did their top 100 NFL players, and they had DeForest Buckner at 100. And they had 2 other defensive tackles in the back in the 90 to 100 ahead of him. I mean, I'm sorry, but if Buckner isn't in your top at least 5 of defensive tackles in the NFL, your list is just wrong. That man is one of the best defensive tackles in this game. I will empathetically say it. I will never drop it. He's that good. He's that big. He's that much of a game wrecker. At times, it seemed like it was only him who was getting any kind of pressure on a quarterback, getting any kind of sack. And I would see him running 5, 10 yards, upfield to tackle a running back who ran past the line. Like he just puts everything into it. And he does it every play, every game, every week. The dude is an incredible talent. He moves too fast. He's too big to move that fast. So it was a bullshit list. Just gonna say it. I can't. I wish I could call him out. I don't remember know who posted it, but it was garbage. Anyway, my top 19 to 25. So I put 25th at as T.Y. Hilton. I can't not put T.Y. Hilton in this because he's third all time receiving yards for the Colts. I can't, and he's fourth all time in touchdowns. I can't not put T.Y. Hilton in it. He was Luck's go to man. I can't. I wish he had maybe played alone. He almost had 10,000 yards with the Colts. He fell about 300 shy. So yeah, he'll round out my top 25. I put he's a little before my time, but he's in the Ring of Honor. Bill Brooks, I put him at 24. Very consistent receiver, and he's in the Colts Ring of Honor. I can't not put any of the Colts Ring of Honor people in the top 25. That's just disrespectful. At 23, I put Cato June. At 22, I put Brandon Stokely. I love watching Stokely. He was so good. He was with that Super Bowl team. Of course, I'm going to put Brandon Stokely. I love the guy. Joseph Adai at 21. I put Ryan Kelly at 20. Let me see here. I put Antoine Bethea at 19. So let's see that one. And let me see. At 18, I'm sorry, my list is a little bit messed up. At 18, I put Andrew Luck. And we'll go to 17, which is Buckner. I just wish that Andrew Luck probably would have been much higher on the list if he didn't I guess retire abruptly and as early as he did because he was basically just entering his prime. So it was a little bit hard for me to not put him lower in the list, but he was just that damn good. I don't want to get into the sap story of what happened there. And of course, Buckner at 17. He's one of the Colts' best defensive tackles. And he's only played for Indianapolis for 3, 4 years, something like that. But it's one of the best trades I've seen as a Colts fan for Ballard to go out and get him. Gave up the Colts first rounder to get him, and I have zero issue with it. I didn't have an issue with it when he did it. Gave up the first rounder. I think that was the same year he moved up when he got Jonathan Taylor and oh my god, why is it dropping out? You know the thing. I've got work brain. It's 10 o'clock at night, so I think that was the same year he did that trade, if I'm not mistaken. But so next week we'll do the next. What was that? 9. So we'll do the next 8. We'll do the next 8. So I'll break it up into 3 segments. If you guys disagree, go ahead, drop a comment. If you think someone should be, because I guess the final list, if you guys can persuade me, give me real reasons to change my back 9, leave in the comments. We'll talk about it, discuss it. You can add me. That's fine. You have my ad. Yeah, I don't mind. You can talk about it. Please do. If you don't like it, if you think that someone else should be in the top 9, remove somebody. Hey, go for it. I have no qualm with that. I don't have a whole lot else. There's not a. I'm just looking at myself in a computer, so there's not a whole lot back and forth. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to drop some comments about anything that we talked about, if you want to also talk some shit about Trevor Lawrence, And I don't know if Third and Teal will watch it. Maybe this will become a short. I'm hoping that Curtis actually posts, a snippet of me going off about Trevor Lawrence on the, Third and Teal to ruffle some feathers. That's fine. They can come on here. They can talk some shit. That's fine. Y'all better have my back, though. I'm just saying. Don't be, Colts hiding fans. We need y'all to come out of the woodwork. And if you're here to defend it, make sure you like, share, and sub. I don't know if I'm pointing at the right. I don't know where they are. If you saw my screen, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're still here, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you for spending your Saturday, afternoon, evening, talking football. Drop some comments, please. I welcome it. As always, like, share, sub. Go to this AFC South show, do the same. Chaotically Intolerant, do the same. Go over to Third and Teal and talk some shit to him. Go over to the, that real Texas team podcast. Talk some smack. Say, hey, we are the best team. Jeff said so. Go over there and do it. Like, share, sub, all of them. You can go to Titans takeaways, but we all know it was never the Titans. All right, we'll see y'all next week. Y'all be good people. And go Colts, of course. Can't leave that one out.